Hello and welcome, everyone. Let me know that you can hear me well in the chat. Give me a thumbs up or an acknowledgement of sorts. Hello. All right. I hope you're warm. I hope you're cozy. I hope you're comfortable. I hope today wasn't rough. So, So I've been noticing that a lot of the times in December it gets a little stressy, so I just decided that this Tuesday's live would be a good time to discuss that, and then get everyone's opinion and thoughts. I see that Danielle is making tea and getting cozy. All right. So tonight's topic summary, not summary, that's not. Tonight's topic is pretty much, tonight we're exploring why emotions tend to spike in December. I think all of us kind of know why, or can kind of have a vague idea of why December may feel a bit heavy. We're going to discuss more so why that is and how to stay kind of like grounded in a month that's a little emotionally heavy for a lot of people, including myself. Something I've recently realized that I wasn't quite aware of. But yeah, we're learning and we're growing. So to anybody in the chat, do you notice your emotions in December in particular get a little heavier or more noticeable? I personally do. I did not realize, yes, that a lot of stuff happened, and there's an ad for Adobe that is popping up. That needs to go. A lot of stuff happened in November for me, so I took like a month-long break. Was forced to take like a month-long break because of a lot of technological issues and things like that. But then we came back, and I just started that ball like super rolling. And I was just like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, November this, November that at the end, and then December this. We'll just go. I did not realize that December was December, from birthdays to Christmas to New Year's Eve to just being done with like Thanksgiving if you're American. Then yeah, that there was lots of stuff going on. And then from then on, in my own personal life, one of my sisters is moving into my house, so there was a lot of rearrangement and things that are still ongoing. So then that was not taken into account. And then also after taking a break, getting back into the flow of things, there is some needing to get used to that again. So I was just like stacking it on, like, yeah, no problem, until there was a problem. And then I realized, oh, is this that thing I do? This is a personal note of mine. I learned early on, more in the past few years, that I tend to have high expectations for myself and others, but I tend to give others more grace in the sense of understanding who they are, their psychology, their lifestyle, things like that. So I give them more wiggle room and be like, okay, I know who they are, what they're about, so I didn't expect that from them. But I'm learning to give that to myself. So I wanted to discuss that with you all to see if you are also learning to give yourself more grace, especially on periods and seasons in life that are going to be rougher, that maybe you didn't expect it to be. But yeah, so be kind to yourselves. Whew. So yeah, I think, yes, personally, I do notice that December tends to get a little heavy. Maybe you're trying to get that Christmas shopping done or finish up projects that you had been postponing, or maybe there are some work things that need to get finished, or people end up doing a lot more meetings and things. And for a lot of people, I think meetings eat up a lot of time. So yeah. Danielle states, emotionally, November was rough. I hope this month I can definitely be more nurturing to myself. Yes, we all have to remember to be kind to ourselves, to give ourselves as well as others grace, within reason, of course. But yes. So let's go into discussing why December may feel heavier and more emotional. I think most of all, December kind of has its own atmosphere when it comes to emotion. I think we tend to attach more things onto the end of the year. like New Year's Eve is going to be coming up, Christmas. So in December, there's a lot of emotions attached to things, be it gift giving, be it holiday parties, family gatherings and get-togethers and stuff like that. And I think it's called like emotional salience. When you add more meaning or emotion to things, they become more impactful, more stressful, and things like that. I also think a lot of us, not only was it's been a whole year. So then at the end of the year, you're more, some people have to play catch up, be it at work, be it in life, be it me personally with my sister moving in. I'm playing catch up in the sense that I should have been moving boxes more often in September and October. And now I'm like, oh no. And not realizing how many things I had to move and how exhausted the reality of me moving gets, where back in the day, you could do all your packing or moving stuff, no problem. But realizing in the age that I am now, with the physical body I have now, it's a little more, a little rougher and a little more not possible or not in the best health sense to do that. Yeah, we can also, Danielle states, I'm thinking we want to show up in a certain way, but in reality, we may not be there. That is accurate. Sometimes we put our own pressure on ourselves, maybe to feel festive or to kind of be the life of the party, or to want to go out and be, socialize. Because right now, that time of year where more people are expecting you to show up here or show up there. Like I said, holiday parties, family and friends gatherings, get-togethers, they have more emotional weight to them, as well as more festivities. We're not just hanging out, having a good time, just dropping by someone's house. There may be actual like gifts involved, decorations, certain foods need to be prepared. Maybe you're being asked to prepare the food or bring something. So yeah, there could definitely be pressure, not only from others, but from yourself, of expecting you to show up in that regard. And I think for a lot of us, I think there's like the spoon theory, for those who have chronic ailments or disabilities, where you only have a certain amount of spoons. And depending on the activity, it may take more, say, getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, watching a show, or even like studying something could just be one spoon. But still a spoon, and maybe you only have 5 to give. And then doing something like driving yourself to the grocery store or shopping is like 3 spoons all on its own. So then that only leaves you with 2 spoons, and then maybe even going to the doctor is also a 3-spoon journey. So you're like, you can't go grocery shopping and to the doctor's office on the same day, because that's just going to be asking for 6 spoons and you only have 5. So it could be very detrimental. So I think it's one of the things, learning and growing, figuring out who you are and what you're willing to give to others. So it goes back to like boundaries and learning your boundaries, learning others' boundaries, learning if some other people like to push your boundaries, so you kind of know what they're about as well. And then going further into like December and how it feels heavier, it's probably like a literal heavierness, in the sense, not actually literal heavy, I mean fog, but the colder weather, the shorter days, less sun. So there's it's literally everything feels crammed into certain time. If you're trying to do things during the day, or was it if you work during the day and then you go somewhere and you're not seeing like actual daylight for most of the day, it could still just make the day just gloomy and sad and cold. Danielle says she loves fog. I don't necessarily love it, but I've been surprised, since I tend to stay in my house a lot, that I'm looking outside, I'm like, oh look, it's foggy. When did that happen? Because I take my daughter to school in the morning, and it may not necessarily be foggy at that time. And then maybe like an hour later, it gets a little more gloomy and subdued, and I'm like, oh, now it's foggy. So yeah, so I think energetically it can be like, was it circadian rhythm wise, that we kind of all feel that the days are meant to be more slower paced and relaxed, considering like the lack of sun, considering like fog, temperamental weather, coldness. But then we're kind of expected to go do things more, be it, in real life shopping, visiting family, visiting friends, traveling. And when it's really more like, I would like to cozy up and just hang out inside. So and then also that means like life slows down. But for some people, when life slows down, things get quiet. And when things get quiet, your thoughts start going. So in that regard, that's also another thing, is that sometimes life slows down or expects it to slow down, but that also means you have to slow down. You have to actually spend some quiet time alone with yourself. Maybe it's also colder, a little gloomier, so maybe the sads come into effect. I think that's why some people have like seasonal affective disorder. I think it's labeled something differently now, but yeah. Danielle states, yeah, I love slow, lazy days as well. Society may be going against the grain of human nature, just saying. Yeah, I think a little bit there where things are supposed to be slowing down now that it's colder. You're not supposed to be out there working the field and the farm as much. The animals should be inside the shed or inside their enclosures more often, because they're going into more like slowing down, hibernating, or slowing it down mode. And so, yeah, it reminded me of like, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version, where right in the beginning, when you're introduced to all the Who's, they're all shopping and buying. It's chaotic, and the little girl's just like, this seems like a lot. Um, it's like that's what society kind of, in American culture in particular, because that's what I'm familiar with, kind of expects you to be going and doing all that stuff during that time, when it's actually more like you should be taking it easy, slowing down, relaxing, and resting. Also, because like I guess in the past, the winter was more of the deadly season of, that's when grandma gets sick and doesn't ever feel quite right, or babies need extra care and attention and stuff like that, or even animals and stuff. So yeah, we may be going against the grain there a bit. So, chat, what part of December has felt heavy for you? Anything related to like pressure, memories, expectations, or anything else? I think for me, it's been literally the pressure. Danielle stated we should be revolting with sleep, but then some people got to pay them bills. Yeah. Yeah, I think for me personally, December feeling heavy, it is the literal stress of the end of the year, trying to get things done or trying to keep things on an even keel of momentum into January and February. Just FYI for those who are interested in the channel, we have some, I'm calling them challenge videos right now, but they're loose, not, they technically are challenge videos, but I don't really, vibe with that phrasing. They're more foundational, getting my shiz together type of things, and hopefully helping you get your shiz together and see the small incremental steps you can, and if they do actually work. So those videos are in progress right now, so that's why I said spearheading some things to January and February for me, although it's the end of the year and I'm supposed to be chilling probably, but I decided no, I would not. So yeah, for me, the heaviest part of December so far is the actual pressure to do things. I think in the past it has been expectations, but I've worked really well on getting those expectations lowered. Like just being like, it is what it is, and that's okay. Not being upset with it, but just being like, well, what can I change? And an interesting thing about that expectations is one of the things I changed this year was I decided to freely give out my wish list. Amazon, I know I need to move away from Amazon, but for now, that's the wish list I have. In years past, it was more like I really wanted to see what everybody would get me, like, their own thoughts, their own, like, heartfelt ideas and what they thought I needed or wanted. But then at a certain point, I was like, let's not play this game anymore. Let's just give them a wish list, and mind you, a thorough wish list. So there's many things on there to pick from. So kind of like just helping people out, because I realize not everybody loves giving gifts. Not everybody loves thinking about what gifts to give people. Not everybody enjoys that process. Some people just really want to get the Christmas shopping over with and then just enjoy the time they spend with their family or the people they are giving gifts to. So I decided let's just lower the expectation to more realistic and just be cool about it. So yeah. I think one of the things too is that even if we're not noticing what we're feeling about December or this time of year, our bodies might feel that way. Like you may get a little tense or you just may feel anxious. And it might be from childhood, it might be from your teenage years, it might be from your 20-somethings or just in general, and you may not be aware. But sometimes, the body keeps the score. Sometimes your body remembers years past. Maybe you were always cold in winter, and maybe now you got a heater that does work perfectly fine, but you're still like, I need all the blankets. I am not warm enough. And it could be like a childhood, like semi-trauma response of just thinking, I am not warm enough. But yeah. So how are you doing, chat? Anything about December feeling extra pressure or specific memories that you're remembering or expectations about December that are feeling like weighing on you? Feel free to put it in the chat, or if you're watching this after the live, feel free to put in the comments. I would still very much love to hear them. So in saying that, let's move on to our next section, where we talk a bit more about emotions and a little bit about nostalgia. I think when December hits, I think a lot of us get nostalgic. I remember in my early 20s, there was, it's less so now for sure, but I remember going to Walmart, good old Walmart, and heading out there with my then boyfriend and feeling like, ooh, now it's Christmas. Once it got real crisp in the air, I felt like, ooh, now it's Christmas, that this is the time. And I kind of had that childhood remembering of, ooh, this is Christmas, it's happening. Now I've kind of lost that feeling, but hopefully we kind of get it back with my daughter where she's getting excited. She's a child now, so she's well aware what Christmas is and what's all the events are happening. Danielle states, I've removed a lot of pressure for myself for December. It's good. Yeah, always remember to take care of yourself, even when it's not December, even when it's June, when it's April. Whenever you realize, oh, there's a lot going on and I should probably relax a bit or take some pressure off myself and things like that. Danielle states, but on the other side, I took some of my joy out of it as well. I'd like to balance that out. Yes, I can get that, where you got to figure out what did you actually like, what didn't you like, and how to could maybe you're invited to 3 separate things this month. I don't know, just spitballing here. But then one of them you absolutely are like, ugh, I don't want to go to that. And then 2 of them you're like, it's okay. And then maybe you're like, that third one out of the 2, you're like, that usually ends up being well. So you kind of got to figure out what is it you actually like, what is it you actually don't like, and how to kind of bring that joy into the other really crappy one that you don't enjoy, or realize that's your boundary, or figure out what it is that you actually like and how to bring that with you. I think there was a video that I watched, and a woman was asking a psychologist, at her family, she doesn't drink, but a lot of people at her family, they're a drinking family, like alcohol is flowing. And in the years past, she's always felt pressured. People always ask her, why are you not drinking? Do you want to drink? They try to give her drinks, even though she is like, I am cool. I am solid. Ooh, I got a little warning up here. One moment. I have no idea what that means, but let me know in the chat if you see poor quality on the stream or if anything, so I might have to figure something out. But going back to what the woman in the story said about her family pressuring her a lot to drink, because there were drinkers during the holidays, even though she kindly would say no thank you. The psychologist said one of the things she could recommend is talking to the host and then asking the host, first of all, like, is there going to be anything else to drink besides nothing alcoholic? And then, so that's one thing, confirming with the host that you don't drink. And then the second one was bringing a buffer friend, someone who, I think this was like another segue, was bringing a buffer friend in case it wasn't about like drinking, if it was some individual at a party, family gathering, something that the host has every right to invite who they want to invite. You have every right not to show up if you don't want to show up. because so and so will be there, but bring in a buffer friend to kind of get get well, not get rid of, but block that person from you. Like either they bring into the conversation or they steer you somewhere else. Or if you wanted to leave early, they remind you that you too have to go do so and so, or go do so and so, not appropriate. Go do something else or something that you guys already talked about beforehand. But then she also mentioned concerning the drinking that maybe she should bring her own non-alcoholic drinks and let the host know, so the host is well aware that she's going to bring her own drinks. And maybe there may be other people at the party that are happy that there's now some non-alcoholic option, because there could have been people who themselves would have preferred not drinking, but there really was nothing else that they could drink. And then she told her to probably get herself a glass, pour her non-alcoholic drink in there. So when people ask, to toast or get you a drink, you already have something at all times that you are already drinking and prepared to have. So yeah. Long story short, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Danielle, for letting me know that the stream is clear. On my end, it doesn't show that, but thank you. Well, on my end, it does show clear, but it's showing a little error, and I'm like, no, I don't think it's good. So going back to how December should feel like, or you remember how it felt like in the past, did you have any recollection of what you felt December was? I think when I touched on how I felt in my youth, like in my childhood, that it felt more like the air was crisper, that there was just something in the air about it. And then in my 20s, my early 20s, I still had that. And now in my 30s, not so much, but we're trying to regain it a bit through my daughter. So I think concerning that, with the emotions feeling heavier, for some people, one of the things about nostalgia is it can bring back good memories as well as bad memories. And depending if you have like traumatic childhood, capital T, or even lowercase t trauma, those things can be brought to the surface, especially if you're already feeling cold, if you're already feeling more tired, and all that stuff affects you. You can see how somebody can that could definitely make December feel a bit heavy. So let me know in the chat if anybody else has felt that way, or something similar throughout even November, because that gets a bit chilly too. And so yeah. So I think, yeah, we all kind of struggle with the nostalgia aspect of, and the high expectations, and trying to think of what Christmas or December, or not necessarily Christmas, or even January, going into January, New Year's Eve, what it's supposed to feel like. And I think that could partially be because like movies and things we saw on TV growing up, TV shows, movies, and things like that definitely affected a lot of us on what our expectations would be. Danielle states, I think it's more enjoyable to me now. Like I don't have much memories of Xmas as a kid, only as an adult. Yeah, I think same here. I have some memories, but yeah, the more Christmas memories or December-esque memories I have maybe when I was like 10 or 11, but nothing like 5, 6, 7, nothing. But I think that's why for me the nostalgia was when the air felt crisper and the cold came in. That's what I felt was Christmas, because maybe that's what childhood me, connected the dot of Christmas to, was just that crispness in the air. Danielle states, I have nostalgia about now lately. About now? Do you mean in the way that you're going to reminisce on these days when you're an 80-year-old woman or much older person? I think, is that what you mean, Danielle? I tend to tell people that too, regarding when they don't want to take pictures or don't want to be in a video. I'll tell them, your 80-year-old self is going to be like, look how young I look. Or your 90-year-old self going to be like, oh, look at that, was so fun. Because that's whatever age you are now, the clock is not going to be reversing. Time doesn't go backwards. So you got to kind of embrace it where you are now and what you can do and what you actually enjoy. So I was thinking movies that I can think of, like nostalgia movies or movies that kind of emphasize December. And one of them I have a sister who is very much into Christmas movies. Like, that is her jam. So I've seen a lot of Christmas movies on repeat. Danielle stated, yes, and like a romantic feeling about what I'm doing. Dishes, dishes, grocery shopping, and whatever. All right, yeah, bringing joy to the little things. That's amazing. That's really helpful to do because we all kind of forget that every second of what you're doing is your life. So things like whether grocery shopping, cooking, or washing dishes, maybe some of them are house chores, things that you don't necessarily like. You can turn on some music. You can have good thoughts. You can remember things as you're doing them to kind of like entertain yourself, but also bring joy to yourself, knowing that you're taking care of yourself, maybe taking care of your home, maybe taking care of the dish. I think I read one time on like a Reddit post, someone said one of the ways they bring this little joy to themselves is when they wash dishes, they treat each dish like it's its own little like entity, like it has its own thoughts and feelings. So she or he, I don't know, but they would say like, oh yeah, I'm washing you, look at you're getting so clean, oh look at you look great, and then rinse them and be like, yeah, you feel great, don't you? Like, it sounds silly, and obviously if you're saying that out loud it may seem a little concerning, but speaking it in your head and just making that time joyful, being creative and making a story up, it kind of, I think, goes into the inner child healing aspect of just being like, have a good time, have fun with it, don't take life too seriously. Danielle states yes, and I like, oh, sorry, that's what she stated earlier. I thought she wrote something else. But speaking of nostalgia and then movies and TV shows where maybe expectations were set high or just nostalgic movies in general, one of the Christmas movies I remember watching a lot or seeing a lot, I wasn't initially watching it, is A Christmas Story. And one of the things I really realized this year while my sister was here, while she was watching it, she really loves those movies, was that the narrator in the movie, he's a young child. If you haven't seen it, it's a very old Christmas movie from the 80s, early 80s, talking about what the Christmas present he wants to get that year. I think it was the BB gun. He has a younger sibling. He has his mom, his dad. It takes place I know the movie was probably filmed in like 1978, 1982, somewhere around there. I'm not sure if it's supposed to take place even before that, but the narrator's voice is clearly that of like someone in their 50s, 60s, like a lived older man. So when I watch that and I hear the narrator's voice come in, I'm like realizing he's fully reminiscing and being nostalgic about this very important December and then Christmas that led up to some like pivotal growing times in his life and his childhood. So that's something that kind of connected to December feeling heavier for a lot of people, because that'd be something that in his life he remembers December as that. That is the template that he may remember. Eating the BB gun, trying to figure out, was it the Ovaltine secret code, beating up the bully, his friend sticking his tongue to the cold pole, all this weird childhood stuff is put in that movie, and realizing that this is this man's story. So it kind of makes me question the writers who actually wrote it, and I probably should look that up, and if it was anything based even loosely on reality or someone's real life or anything like that, or maybe even a mishmash of like 3 or 4 writers who put their little childhood stories together in there. That's interesting. So chat, in that regard, do you ever get like, I don't want to say hit because that's a weird word. Do you ever get memories of December or in or around December about that? I do remember for me, and I just recently found this out, it snowed here in the city I live in, like in 1998. I remember I always thought I was 8, but apparently I was 9, because recently my husband's mother had made like a childhood book for him. So he has like a baby book, he has childhood, and he has like his teenage years. And we were looking, she found them, I was looking through them, and I seen the snow day. It was in early January 1999, so that would make sense. I was like, ooh, I don't know how old I was. But that was something like, that's a memory that comes back to me every December, because I still wish it snowed here, but it does not. It's been over 20 years at this point, even though before it would snow like every 10 years. So that was cool. But now it's no. So chat, do you have any memories that seem to pop up around December, maybe Christmas related, maybe even January, where it's just that feeling of nostalgia or crispness in the air? Not Christmas, crispness. Just curious. So yeah, those are the type of memories that show up for me. I think that was like the only time it ever snowed in my childhood where I live. Otherwise, we had to go to snow. And I also, now that I'm thinking, I have another snow memory. I must have been like maybe somewhere between 4 and 6. We did not have clothes for the snow. We must have went somewhere snow adjacent, maybe 2 hours away or something from here. And I remember us sledding on like plastic bags or like those bags where you store well, no, I don't think, well, you do store where you store like bedding in, or where you, when you buy bedding from the store, those thicker plastic. That's what I remember using for sleds. I'm not sure if we used cardboard boxes, but I remember those. And then I think I must have had on some like pink pants, like just fabric sweats. Like those are like the warmest little pants I had. And then going into the car and being like, my pants are soaked. And so then I was like wrapped in like a sweater or something, because they're like, you can't just be soaking up the seat like that and your pants are that wet. So yeah, that's another memory I have. So chat, do you have any memories of snow where you live, or any December memories that are quintessentially what you consider winter memories? Let me know in the chat. Even as I continue talking, let me know. I will go back to it. I will read it and we can have a discussion about it. I am so down for talking. So going back into our topic, we're going to discuss furthermore the expectations and pressure we may put on each other or ourselves concerning the winter, December, a little bit of January in there, a bit of November, because that's when things start happening. I think that's what's the emotional saliency, where we build so much more emotion around these times. So that's why it feels like things matter a bit more. And maybe they do. Maybe you don't see your friends or family in that regard that much, or that purposefully. Maybe you just, you go to your mom's house sometimes, you go to your friend so-and-so's house sometime just to hang out, but you don't go there with the purpose of it being like, this is for us to spend time together. We are bonded, we are friends, or we are family. So yeah, so that's a good, put a little bit of pressure on you. I think that goes into like when you think about like movies, expectations, there's a lot of movies that now in hindsight that I remember watching as a child, like say Home Alone. Like I said, I have a sister who really loves those Christmas movies. So Home Alone, do you guys remember that house? I think now it's like more than $1 million house. Like that's an insane, that house would cost so much. But I think a lot of movies, even now, if you're familiar with Christmas movies, maybe Hallmark-esque movies, unless it's really meant to show someone being poor, like purposefully, for like that's part of the story. Whenever you see holiday movies, it's like this upper middle class, well-to-do family. Like I know personally growing up, we had maybe, a tree, but we didn't have like, we did not have all the bells and whistles of like, all the decor of some of these, was it holiday type movies? So yes, thank you for joining the chat, Victoria. Happy to see you here. So I think when you see those movies, or grew up with even TV shows or movies portraying it like that, that can kind of give you expectations for the holidays that aren't quite fitting. But I do remember it was my mother-in-law who said something about like she has to get me on an airplane someday and things like that. Now, speaking of airplanes, because around the holidays a lot of people travel, or as I've heard, a lot of people travel. But when you go into like the holiday myth, the perfect holiday, expectations versus the reality of it, which is all going to be, I think, a future live discussion that we're going to get deeper into. So we're going to be discussing movies for sure on that one. So look forward to that one. But you see a lot of people are like flying in for the holidays. They're like, oh, I missed my flight, or this and that. And growing up, no one I knew had been on an airplane. That was not even an option. one, we had most of our family where we lived, but then that also shows that the class was different, that no one traveled further because they also, why would they travel that far? And they did not have the money to just start anew and be okay and just, do their thing. But back to my mother-in-law telling me that we have to get me on a plane someday. I did have attempted to be on a plane. Our plane ended up not going anywhere because of the plane's own issues. But my physical body thought there was a bear behind me. Like the anxiety just went through the roof where I was trying to be cool, but my body was like, no, the bear is in the cabin with us. We need to get out of here. So I learned that. And then also, trying to bite your tongue. But when someone tried to be like, yeah, who may fly multiple times a year, more so for funsies, it seems like, and then they're trying to tell you they need to get you on an airplane. It's like, well, you pay for that trip and the airplane, and then we can discuss it. So that goes back into when you watch movies and TV shows, when you see people flying in for the holidays and then seeing like the 6-bedroom, 3-bath houses, 2 or 3 stories with a like full attic or in a basement. It's just like, wow, what a life they're living. So I think that could be adding added expectations and pressure, especially like holiday decorations, where not only do you need the lights, you need some like blow up balloons, or not blow up balloons, those blow up things. I don't know what they're called, like inflatables. Yeah, where you also need those little inflatables, and then it's like, I just like decorating my own house for Christmas is a struggle on its own, just because I don't want to put all those up. Who does that? But I guess some people really enjoy it. So yeah, I think we all gotta find what things we enjoy and what things we don't enjoy, and try to bring either compromise if there's someone in your family or in your household that really enjoys Christmas movies, or someone who really enjoys decorating. Kind of figure out who's willing to do what because they enjoy it that much, or compromise it because like, sure. But I think when it's saying things like that, December is like the only month where we are expecting ourselves to feel like joy, festive, a little magical, like things, and social, going places and being up to it continuously. Like that's like the only month I could think of that we're expected to be like, no, we can do this. Victoria says you don't want to put them up because then you have to put them away too. Yeah, the more you put up, the more you have to put away. And that seems like a lot of work. But I think December, we expect ourselves to, be festive, add that little magic, especially if you have children where you're expecting I know my husband's family, they did, was it Elf on the Shelf? And they went hard with it. Victoria says, I enjoy decorating small, but don't want to put away. Okay. But once their younger daughter grew up, they were like, we're never doing that again. And then my daughter recently was like, I would like an Elf on the Shelf. And I'm like, that's lovely. Maybe ask your grandparents about that. Because I'm like, it's like, no. Also, I don't. So if she comes back home someday with a little Elf on the Shelf, I guess that's where we're at. But yeah, so it makes sense that in December we may feel overwhelmed. We're expected to be festive. We're expected to go out. We're expected to actually be social, even if that kind of goes against the grain of what our normal expectations are, what we would like to do. So it's very understandable that December feeling heavy, feeling the overwhelm, feeling the pressure. And that's why I think I wanted to talk about it pretty much beginning. If you're American, you probably had, Thanksgiving. Maybe a little pressure there, but that's more just like show up, cook something, or show up and eat. But in December, it's like you got to show up with some thought, put behind things and stuff like that, and maybe even some monetary value. So then that brings another stressor of like, you're expected to pay your bills as normal, you're expected to go to work as normal, get groceries as normal, but now you're expected to spend X amount because you have this many people to give gifts for, to get gifts for and stuff like that. So yeah, the overwhelm is real. Yeah. So chat, are you feeling any overwhelm? Anything hitting you this month? I think I asked that in the beginning, but feel free to share. Even as I continue talking, Anytime, feel free to share your 2 cents, your 3 cents, your quarter. I'm here to listen. And I would love to know what lifestyle maybe you also noticed that the expectations versus reality. Like, I noticed it starkly in movies when I watched it, where I'm like, whose family is living like this? And then I married my husband, and I seen whose families were living like that, and I'm just like, wow, it's just as crazy as I thought. Of like, this makes no sense. So yeah. So what expectation in December doesn't exactly match your real life for you? Mine personally is just the holiday spirit, man. I'm just exhausted, and that just could be a me all the time thing. But, I'm just surviving. And so adding more to it is just like, dang it. Now I need to do more. I do like giving gifts, like I mentioned earlier. So that's always fun. But when I need to give that many gifts and figure it all out, that can be a bit overwhelming, where you kind of have to chunk it out of when you're buying what by paycheck, of how much you can spend without like just being like, that was way too much money. So yeah. And now we can move on to the emotional tools to survive the heaviness or the overwhelm of December. For a lot of us, we may not have a lot of tools in our toolbox, so I'm just going to go through a few of these that I may have used in the past. Oh, Victoria states she's not usually into the holiday season like she usually is. Yeah, depending on what other stressors get you down, um, you may have to take a step back, prioritize yourself, self-care, give yourself grace, and understanding that it's just going to be a little different. And different does always mean bad. It just means different. So yeah. So the emotional toolbox to handle the overwhelm. Some of these I've used myself. Some of them are just good ideas. And mind you, probably in the comments, I will probably put a few other videos that I found through my research and studying and all that stuff that I found particularly helpful. So if you're more interested in more about the stress management aspect and more of that and overwhelm, handling the overwhelm and all that in general, not just seasonally, but getting some new tools in your toolbox, feel free to, after this live, give me a few minutes. I'm going to add some of those to probably a pinned comment. So check that out. Danielle states, I guess my Christmas nostalgia feelings are from old movies. I enjoy the look of colorful old school lights and cozy furniture and blankets. All right, yeah. So it's kind of like you have nostalgia for a childhood or a Christmas you've never actually experienced. But that means now, since you know that's why you enjoy it, and that's what you enjoy looking at or feeling that energy about, you know what you can bring into your own life. I think that's good, like, for us to study the media that we consume, and especially our favorite like TV shows or movies. We should try to figure out why it hit for you, either that resonated, but either in a spiritual way, in a nervous system way, or even in a color aesthetic way. Like one of the movies I like personally, I love Wes Anderson movies. One of the things with Wes Anderson movies, I was drawn to them in the sense I just liked the color palettes and how everything looked. And then I found out I was watching like a director's cut version, and so they were talking about how he makes the movies and all this. That he essentially said he makes them like stories. Like, this is a storybook, and you're opening it, and now you zoom in, and you're coming into that world. And I was like, yes, that's what it is. Because when I watch movies personally, I'm analytical. I analyze things. I see things from whether like different perspectives. When I'm watching a movie, I'm not immersed. I'm well aware that's an actor. I'm thinking what's off camera. I'm thinking of the camera. People must be over here. The director must be over there. Oh, that must have been a weird scene to film when like the camera zooms in on their face or what like that. So I'm not immersed, but realizing he films them as their stories where you're not meant to be immersed. You're well aware you're reading a book. You're watching a story. And so I enjoy that aspect because that layer of analysis is part of the enjoyment. So instead of being like, oh, I wasn't immersed, I was just, this action sequence seemed stupid, I can actually be like, no, this analysis is part of the immersion and the enjoyment of the film. And also the color palettes. I love the matching and how he blends the tones of like oranges and yellows and reds in certain scenes to like give you like the vibes and the feelings. So that's something maybe in my own home I can kind of recreate that a little bit. But yeah, so I think it's also important, to kind of analyze, look into the media you consume, even like YouTubers and people you enjoy and like that, because like parasocial relationships and stuff, you may realize that's what you like about them, or they may remind you of like your cousin or your friend or someone you knew in high school or childhood, and then that's something that you're like, oh, I didn't realize I like people who do this or like this. So it's really fun to like learn a little bit more about yourself. Victoria says, I do like old holiday movies. Those were simpler times and stuff costed a lot less. All right. Accurate. Very accurate if you see the old ads when things really cost a lot less. But yeah. So maybe that's what you're looking for, Victoria, some like a simpler life in the sense of, you have what you have. Um, Maybe you're like, I don't need this fancy new Alexa. I just need a good old radio that's going to work with my phone, because you still want to, charge your phone in it or plug your phone in and use it. Yeah. All right. So back to the tools for overwhelm. One, I think this is helpful even when it's not December, when it's not the winter, when it's not the season of overwhelm, is naming your emotions. A lot of the times people tend to bury the emotion or they don't want to think about it, but a lot of the times it is best to feel your emotions, to name it. Even if you're not quite sure what it is, it helps you process it and helps it, go away helpfully and not something that just stuck in there. So labeling the emotion, knowing what it is, reduces the intensity. If you're sad, you are sad. It's okay to say, even it's okay to tell yourself, I am sad, could maybe help you to actually hear yourself say it and give yourself an outlet for that instead of just, letting it simmer in there. And also, if you need to cry, let it out, girl or guy, let it out. I think that's one of the things I learned is sometimes, one, I'm much more sensitive now than I was when I was younger. And I learned that sensitivity, like those who cry, say movies, shows, or in real life, like watching friends, family talking, those who cry easily are actually, they said something out like when they studied it for like psychology and science wise, that actually means they are something like adaptive or not adaptive, adaptability or something like that, where if you can cry or if you cry easily, that means your emotional processing is strong. So your body is ready, just going through it. Even if you're still trying to talk or you're trying to enjoy a movie, your mind is already processing the emotion, and that's actually a healthy, good thing. That your body and mind are that quick to start processing it and not holding it in, not turning it into like frustration or being upset later. You're like, I'm gonna cry at it right now. I know it gets frustrating when you're like, say you're arguing and you're gonna start crying, but to me, I think it's okay. I try to frame it as, if you're arguing or if you're talking about something and it feels like you're about to cry or you are going to cry, like there's no stopping it, that's a good thing, because that means you're passionate about it. That means you care. And same with if you see someone else who starts doing that, is also showing them how passionate they are about this or how much they care. So that's why I kind of use that as a metric. So naming your emotion, labeling it helps reduce the intensity. And then another one, which I've kind of semi have done, where was it create a minimum holiday expectation for yourself. Maybe there's going to be 5 things you're going to be invited to. Just say, if I hit 2 of those, cool. I wanted to buy 10 people presents, but the reality is I can buy 4 of them gifts. Maybe the other ones get the heartfelt note, things like that. Like, or even things that you want to do. Maybe you enjoy the holidays, but you just know it's going to be a lot for you. Pick the things you truly enjoy. Like maybe you do want to go see Christmas lights and you want to get a tree. Christmas light tree, those are your minimum. Like that's what you want to do. Or maybe you're just like, I want to wrap gifts. I don't want to buy them, so I need someone else to buy them. Or like, you have a spouse or a partner or something. But things like that, learn what your minimum is, like what makes things worth it. And yeah, like maybe the one holiday party you want to go to is because they serve the good food. So you're like, that's the one I want to go to for sure. If the other one ends up being on the same date or too close to it, I'm going to have to decline that one, and that's okay. Even if someone tries to guilt trip you or make you feel like bad about going or not going and stuff like that, just be like, nah, I know what I'm about. Victoria says all this time she thought she was just a crybaby. Nope, it means you're passionate, you care a lot, and let yourself process those emotions. Then one of the other things you could do, I think they're called like grounding rituals, where it's a lot of breathing. There's box breathing. I believe you breathe in for 4 seconds. You hold for 4 seconds. Then you breathe out for 4 seconds. I'm not sure if you hold for another 4 seconds. That would kind of make sense in the box aspect, but I'm not sure if having no air in your lungs for a solid 4 seconds like that is okay. So don't quote me on that one. So then there's that one, and then there's like stretching. And I think there was another stress reduction one where someone said, instead of fighting the tension, all people just say, just relax. Like if your shoulders are tense or your back hurts, they're like, just relax. That may not necessarily make you feel better. It's to it's called something like muscle progression, something activation, where usually people are laying down, but you can also do this isolated. If you can't lay down, then yeah, is like if say your shoulders or your back, tighten it up as much as you can, like tighten. Even if you're already like, no, my back is already tight. As long as it's not actually physically like something's wrong, you tighten and then you release, and then you can do it again and then you release, and that actually releases the tension. I think psychology, not even psychology, physiological, there is something about it as like the tension could be part of your like flight or fight response, where your body thinks there is something that you're supposed to be fighting, like it's supposed to happen. But clearly in our day and age, there isn't anything to actually fight. It's just the tension is there. So it's like doing that motion and going through it as if you did do something. It helps your body relax afterward and think, because your brain is just your brain, that you did something. I think that's the same thing for when people say like shake it out. That works the same way, because if you see, like if you ever watch the Animal Planet or like nature videos, when like a gazelle's running from a tiger or a lion, not a tiger, when a gazelle's running from like a lion or a predator, and then they actually get away, you'll see them do like a shake. And I think you also, if you have an animal like a dog or a cat, sometimes they do that shake. That's actually them shaking off that tension, like letting it go from their body. So that's something as a human you can also do to help that tension out. You may look a little silly if you're in front of people just like shaking it all out, but you may still feel better. So maybe you can go to the bathroom, go to another room. You can do the box breathing, you can do the shaking it out, you can do the tension and relaxing, and then also do that before bed. Tension, like every muscle in your body, and then relax it, and then, yeah. Victoria said, or scream it out. Yes, but other people are going to definitely know you're doing something in there. If you're trying to keep it private and go in the bathroom and screaming, they're going to know that, hey, so that's the meanest poop you've ever taken. Like, what's going on in there? But yeah. Yeah. And then the last one is like, let go of the pressure to be perfect. Like, even if you enjoy giving gifts, or receiving gifts, things like that, don't expect perfection. It truly is the thought that counts, that someone put work in to think, what did you like? Or, if you bought a gift and you put a lot of effort into either creating it, buying it, what have you, and then they're just like, oh, thank you, but not like, oh, thank you. Then it's okay. Just let it go. You showed love as you wanted to show it, and it is up to them to accept it. And maybe they do accept it, but it's just not as flourishing as you thought they would, but that's okay. The moment and everything was still shared. So chat, did any of those little techniques seem like something you would want to do? Maybe you might have to do this upcoming week or month to be like, that seemed like an interesting one. I know for me, the box breathing does help. I know the shaking out does help, because there's been plenty of times where I have like social anxiety has been a friend of mine for many, many a decades at this point. It's moderate to mild now, but just sometimes I'm just like, ugh, where even if I feel mentally okay, where I can handle a situation, I still feel the tension in my body. Like after it's gone, it's over, I'm back at home, I'm like, still, I'm not okay. So like shaking it out definitely does help. Yeah, that's one of the ones that for me in my toolbox, shaking it out, the breathing, learning to just go into the bedroom when being a parent and a wife of somebody with ADHD just becomes a lot. Just take like 10 minutes or 2 minutes, lay down, breathe, rest for that time period, and just be like, it's okay. It's cool. Yeah, talk to yourself a little bit. It's fine. You're your own best friend. You're going to be with yourself for a very long time. So be kind to yourself. So I guess we wanted to talk about why December may feel heavy and what we can do about it, but it wasn't necessarily about fixing it, but more understanding where that tension, the pressure, the overwhelm, the stress comes from in our lives. Danielle said that's true. Allow people to accept you uh, for who you are. Authenticity, we all have aspirations, but we are who we are now. Yep. Boundaries are super important, and knowing who you are as a person and knowing what you're about. So maybe just take a minute or two. If, say, when you go to in-laws' house or friend's house or family members' houses, and there's people that you normally don't interact with because maybe you don't want to, got to identify why don't you like them, what's going on there. And maybe the legitimate reasons of them being a terrible human being, but that's on them, not you. So there may be other things like trauma in their background, or just a lot of bad stuff did happen in their lives where you're like, oh man, that was rough. So maybe depending on the situation, you could show them some grace, some kindness, to reflect that the world isn't a scary place, that not everybody is there to be feared, and some people are there to actually help you, even in just the, hey, your hair looks good today, or hey, that's the food you brought, it looked pretty good, even if you didn't eat it because you're like, I'm not eating the food. You're like, it did smell great. And then if they're like, oh, did you have some? It's like, not yet. And you don't have to eat it. Stuff like that. Kind words do matter and do make a difference. So yeah. So in summary, name the emotion, breathe it out, manage expectations on all aspects, and learn your boundaries and what you're about. I think that when December or any month gets heavy and feels emotionally loud, that stuff you can always recall back and, remember who you are, what you actually enjoy, what truly matters. Yeah, I think we're all allowed to give ourselves grace and take this month as gently as you want to. Like I think Victoria even said that this year, she's not into the holiday season as she usually is. So that's every grain of your right. I don't know if that sentence makes sense, but yeah, you have every right to, for whatever reason, to take a step back, to prioritize yourself, your wellness, your own well-being, and all that stuff. So I think this was a very reasonably productive live. Let me know if anything resonated with you. Let me know in the chat now if there was something that you really liked, or if you want to continue a discussion on anything in particular. I'm willing to talk a little bit more about things. I love getting information and discussing all this stuff with you guys. So even after this, if you're watching this live after, or if you're a little concerned about joining in on the chat, let me know in the comments after the live. I will definitely respond. I will reply back, and I would love to know what's going on in your neck of the woods. I think so. Next week, we're going to be talking about next Tuesday, the next live on next Tuesday. I said sorry, getting ahead of myself. Thursday, we'll have game night. I believe this game night's game is going to be a short hike. It's going to be a short hike. No, it's a game. So we're just going to be chilling. So 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. we'll be playing a short hike. And then on Tuesday, our next live will be discussing why family brings out old patterns. So be it if you have capital T trauma, the big stuff, or small t trauma, the smaller stuff that still can eat away at the person, we're going to be discussing family patterns and how that could bring out the worst in you, the best in you, change, and that's going to be a conversation for sure. Victoria said game night. Yes, I too am excited. It's a short hike. It's more visually appealing. That's what I've heard. I like to keep it a little mysterious for myself because I tend to read. I analyze automatically, so I tend to read way too much into a screen cap, a synopsis or a summary. But it's about, I think it's animal related for sure. It's about a hike, traveling, enjoying the scenery, the community that's in the game, as well. I've heard that the visuals are very appealing, calming, soothing, and a lot of people just like to enjoy it. So it's going to be chill. We're just going to enjoy the journey. Maybe some fun, cute things are going to pop up along the way. And we're just going to have a good chill time. So 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. this Thursday will be game night. We'll be playing a short hike. And like I said, next Tuesday, 7 p.m., we'll be talking about why family brings out old patterns. So that's going to be fun. Thank you for spending the evening with me. And remember to be gentle and kind with yourself this December and essentially always. Yep, we're looking forward to not Monopoly, Victoria. I mean, they probably do have digital Monopoly, and there is a game like that, but I still have never completed a full game of Monopoly. So that'd be wild if I completed a full computer version game of Monopoly. Yeah. So I'll see you next time. Like I said, be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, chill, relax. You got this. So I'll see you next time. Bye.